Well, it's time now for our Sunday specials. Crisis is brewing between two communities in Agwada development area of Nasarawa state over the right to issue consent letters to mining investors. Communities in Agwada development area are blessed with huge deposit of lithium and other mineral resources which attracts investors to the locality. Senior reporter Godwin Agwan has more on this.
Located in the western part of the state, Agwada is a development area in Kokona local government of Nasarawa state. Communities bordering this town, such as Igbo, Amba, Kure, among others, are blessed with huge deposits of lithium and other mineral resources. Thematic's Geomining Consult is one of the firms that has obtained exploration license from the mining cadastre in Abuja and has discovered a huge deposit of lithium on this soil in Kure community. In a Zoom interview, the firm claims to have gotten the consent of the Kure people, the host community, but they are faced with opposition from Agaza clan, a neighboring community.
On 2024 March, to be precise, we hit our deposit. Unfortunately, I was not in the country. I was not in Nigeria when we hit our deposit. I'd gone for a project in Liberia. So when we hit our deposit, the whole place was a little bit rowdy. There was excitement everywhere. So before I came in, a lot of interest has already gathered that they have discovered lithium in Kure village in Kokona local government, which is my company. We had spent hundreds of millions in exploring this deposit for 3 years. After we got this deposit, we still submitted the results of our exploration exercise to the Federal Mines Inspectorate. I would advise you pay a visit to that office if you have the time, because they have a history of both our tax payments since 2022. Not that we paid 2022 tax in 2024. No. We paid in 2022, generated remitter 2022 paid, generated remitter for 2023 paid, generated remitter for 2024 and 2025 in the respective years and paid. So we've spent a lot of money to get to where we are. Once we got to mineral discovery, a lot of people started clamoring for the deposits.
Few people from Korea.
TVC News visited Agaza, a clan in Igbo community, and Kure community, all in Agwada development area of Kokona local government in Nasarawa state, on a fact-finding mission. The Agaza clan described the consent obtained by Timadix as not genuine. The clan is alleging that Kure people who issued the consent letter to Timadix are settlers and lacks the authority to issue such.
So when we now discovered that the Timadix consent was signed by the settlers, which is the Kore community, and that Kore community, they are settlers which they base in Kore community. So that Kore, they are the one that signed consent to Timadix, and we kick against it. We, the owner of the land, we kick against it that Timadix will not work in our land because we did not give him a consent to go and mine in our land. Unfortunately, the mining cadastre from the federal government gave him the list, that is the license, for him to operate there. We wrote so many petitions against Timadix. I myself, being the chairman of Agaza community, wrote a plenty petition to the cadastre, denying giving him consent letter. So we were calling upon the state government, because we have been having meetings several locations. So we are calling upon the state government to act, because we, the good people of Agaza community, we don't want violence and we don't want the dispute. We don't want things that have been happening from various states, from different states like Zamfara, Bauchi, all those places. So we don't want same to happen in our state.
The allegation did not go down well with the Kure people who owned up to the issuance of the consent letter. The community argued that their presence in the area predates the creation of the state and refused to be recognized as settlers.
Company ne wanda mu waye su kuma mun gansu da takardu na aiki mining, wato abinda ake kira shi license, sannan kuma mun san su ne da gaskiya shi yasa mu bi su mu ba su consent ba wanda zai ba ma Timandes license kamar yadda ni na sani. Wuri nan mu ne mun san da shi. Mu ne muka yi da Timandes. Ba mu yi wani case da wani da cewa ba mu ne ya kamata kar mu ba da wani license. Mu ba da consent. So mu ne mu ba da wannan consent. A gaskiya kamar ni da na zo nan ka gani kamar ni da na sani nan haife ni a nan gari su babana ma haife su a gari nan ko so ni ma ban san lokacin da sun zo gari nan ni da na tsaya nan I'm almost 15 years now.
Consent letter is a simple contract between the landowners. Are you with me?
Yes.
Between landowners and the company that is going in to mine goods and services in that place. That is why I had to make sure you have a copy. If you read it, you see in pursuance of section, I'm reading a consent letter. In pursuance of section 100 of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act of 2007, this is the consent letter from the landowners and occupiers. Now, it reads, we, Mr. Mrs. The owners of the land. So, the Kure people, you have been to the place, you see the Kure people, they are the owners of the land. And they give consent. I continue reading. The owners and occupiers of the land hereby grant consent to, they granted consent to Timadix Jomin Cons of my firm, located within so coordinates. The coordinates that you impute are the coordinates of your license, which we did.
The Nasarawa State government has declared the operation of Timadix Joe Mining Consorts as illegal. The Deputy Governor of the state, Emmanuel Akabe, while addressing journalists in Lafia, says the consent letter obtained by the firm was forged. He says the findings were obtained from the report of a committee which was chaired by him, with paramount rulers of Kokona local government as members.
The subcommittee submitted her report, which shows that Timadex did not obtain the consent letters through the proper channel. All the real fathers denied ever signing any consent for Timadex, and the signatures on the consent letters were not theirs. While the state is interested and welcome all those who wish to invest in the state, we advise Timadex and all other companies that are willing to invest in mining and any other business ventures in the state to follow due process to avoid embarrassing situations such as this.
The state government has assured that everyone involved in the alleged fraud documents issued to Timadix will be brought to book. But it's expected that the state government will take a step further to resolve the issue between Agaza and Kure communities on the right owner to issue consent letters to investors. Godwin Agwan, TVC News, Lafia.
Quite a naughty issue, but our correspondent, senior reporter Godwin Agwan joins me now to give us more insights on what he encountered during this report. Godwin, briefly give us the challenges you had to go through when telling of such story.
Esther,
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, if you talk about challenges, yeah, when you talk about challenges, well, of course, it's challenging when you are reporting an issue like this. Of course, you know, when you talk about issues of conflict and disagreement between reporter must try as much as possible to strike a balance. It's one of the challenges. Every side is claimed to perhaps have a right to issue consent. And it's there for everybody to see. The Timadix people said they are up, and they've gotten the mining lease from the mining cadastre in Abuja. Of course, communities, the Kure community. But now the change there now is that they said that the Kure communities do not have the right to issue consent because government convened the governor that the people consent are illegal. Therefore, they declared the of Timadix in that community.
Right, we cannot continue this conversation. Yeah, we could have loved to hear you say more about, what you encountered, especially as communities are involved here. But thanks a lot, Godwin Agwan, for bringing us your perspective from the field, covering the reports in Nasarawa State. While still talking on our Sunday specials, let's quickly turn to Ebonyi State, which is a treasure trove of rocks both above and below the ground. But behind these beautiful gems and stones, a different story unfolds, and senior correspondent Sarah Ayiko went to one of the largest stone clusters in the state, and she meets with the unsung heroes, the stone crushers, who work tirelessly to make a living. Well, this report exposes the harsh realities faced by these workers who brave unknown health hazards for a meager income.
Nature has been generous to Ebonyi State, southeast Nigeria, blessing it with an impressive array of mineral resources like lead, limestone, zinc. It's just that they do not have the luxury to be timid in this line of work. They spend their days on the field fighting for their place to earn a living alongside the men. For some of the women willing to talk to us, communication proved really difficult. But the bruises on their hands and the dust from the stones that mark their faces tell their stories. Life in the quarry is not easy. Maureen in Kichinyeri started working in the quarry in July 2024, just a little bit over 6 months now. She came here to ease an already difficult life. But if carrying heavy stones for about 12 hours a day is the easy life she found, then what sort of life is she coming from? A life that forced her to give up one of her children as she could no longer care for them.
It's very hard work, Cha. It's very hard work to us. So, if you people can help us to start another business, we'll be happy.
So you feel safe to do another business?
Yes. Like to sell any market at all. And to do farm, I can still do.
So why you can't start doing this one?
Because I don't have money to start another business. That is why.
But you don't use this thing to train your children?
Only to feed them. None of them they go school.
None of them will go school?
Yes.
Like how many people come
4 better. I carry one give person. I carry 3 now.
For this 41-year-old woman, she looks older than her age. She has been on the site for too long. The heavy stones she carries have aged her beyond her years. She told me life is difficult for her and her family. The money she gets from here is used to care for every member of her family. Her husband is currently unemployed. She has no other means of feeding her family. That's why she's here. Now, one of her children is unwell. She is also unwell. She earns 1,000 to 2,000 naira. She tells me she doesn't really like the job. If she gets another, she would gladly do it. When I asked why she's sorting the stones with her bare hands, she simply said they didn't provide us with any gloves. The mining sector has been hit with varying issues in the north. Mining in Zamfara State has been hindered by banditry. Here in Ebonyi State, it is a lack of synergy between the federal government and the state government that has held back the mining industry in the state.
We have up to 15 quarries owned by Chinese in Ebonyi here. Now, we are faced with some challenges. And these challenges is that most of our what are involved, we are still being mindful of the lead poisoning that happened some time ago in, I think in Zamfara. So we wouldn't want a repeat of that in Ebonyi here. So there are actually safety regulations in place in Ebonyi.
There is an easy way to break these rocks. The bigger quarries have giant crushers, industrial machines that break the stones easier and faster. But the workers feared those machines. They know the machines would make their jobs easier, but they also know the machines could take their jobs away. But the giant crushers are already affecting the cluster. Sales are down. Builders prefer buying stones from the quarries with the machines It's cheaper and closer to them.
Giant crusher can produce up to 30, let's say 10,000 or 15,000 tons in 4 hours. But this one, in fact, it has to work for more than 2 weeks for you to be able to produce up to that number of tons that a giant crusher produces in 4 hours. For the crusher to work, at least the minimum of 20-25 workers, people is what you need for that crusher to function maximum at that particular day. So if everyone should go for a giant crusher, then how do you think those 25,000 that crush, 25 people that crusher feed, how would they get their income, or how would they make a living? Women work here more because, will I say, they see the work as women's work.
Well, incidentally, our correspondent Sarah Ayeku is here with me in the news now to give her perspective of what she saw on the field. Sarah, good to see you.
Of course, yeah.
Now, I can't imagine how the women were able to collect 1,000 naira daily for doing such a hard work, I would say. But when you saw them going through that process, what came to your mind?
So I just told myself, like, this is the definition of hard work. If we thought just thinking up stuff and doing the work that we do was hard work, that is actually hard work. Because for a woman who has 4 children, just like, you know, she told me, she has 4 children, she had to give 1 out, and then she's taking care of 3. The 3 of them are not going to school, and then she earns about 1,500, 2,500 per day. And so all she has is that 2,500 naira, that's to a maximum, to feed a family of 4, since 1 is out of, you know, the house. And so that's all she has. And so for them, when we asked about why not embrace mechanization, why not get another job, they kind of like don't have any other option. So
why is that?
They feel that when these machines come in, which they call the giant crushers, come in to the system, it takes the jobs away. So for each cluster, you need about 20 to 25 workers. And that's including the men and of course the women. And we also saw some children at the various clusters. So for you to have 20 to 25, that means you're giving about 1,000, 2,000 naira to 20 to 25 people. And so each trip that they make of maybe particular granite, you know, maybe costs 6,000 naira sometimes. And then that's the money they have to share, depending on how well you worked that day. That's why it was pretty difficult for us to have conversations with a lot of the women and even the children that were hard at work, because they felt talking to us was just wasting time.
Wasting time in the sense of?
In the sense that if you don't make enough trip, if you don't get enough stones into the crusher, you won't get the money for the day. So they had to utilize the time they had. So they open as early as 8 a.m. in the morning, and then they work 12 hours, you know, and under the sun, under the rain, they're trying to get as much stones into the crusher, and then for them to now continue the sorting and then load it back, you know, into the trailer. So when you see a contractor or builder bringing a trailer load of granite, you shouldn't, these are the men, you know, behind that. Aside the giant crushers, that's the big companies that you see in various states. But these manual workers are the ones actually doing the hard work behind, and and for me it was interesting. It was sad just to see the women and the men as well, you know, doing so much hard work just for that little amount of money.
You know, and I also particularly listened to one of the sound bites where one of the women, you asked if she had the opportunity of working elsewhere, would she, you know, pick up another job? And she said yes, but she didn't have the money to do that. But what exactly were you able to see? What other options you think would have been they would have explored aside from, you know, stone crushing? Do you think perhaps there wasn't any?
Very interesting. Like, we had 2 women in different settings, and they gave similar answer. Would like to go back to the farm. So all they need is just some money to go back to the farm. Maybe farm seedlings, a piece of land to cultivate, anything, and then something they can trade with. And that's what they need, really, because for most of them, they were not really happy being there. We're just able to speak with 2 of them, but there were a number of them. You know, there are statistics showing that 80% of those that work in the extractive industry are actually women, and they do the hard work. There are more women in that cluster than men. They do the hard work, right? And so for them, they would like to do something else, but this is what they can do for now. to support
really
their
touching
families.
story from our correspondent, Sarah Yiku. Thanks a lot.
Of course. Thank you.
And that's our Sunday specials tonight. But let's not forget, let's get our reactions, your reactions rather, and comments by keeping the conversation going on our social media handles. And for more updates on the stories we are monitoring, you can also check us on our website, tvcnews.tv. You can also follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and on X at TVC News NG. On YouTube, we're also live at TVC News Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. And on behalf of the team, have a pleasant night rest. Good night.